Hi, I'm Harsh, and this is my website about electric vehicles. For the homepage, I took inspiration from a stacked textile I saw on an album cover. I liked how the repeated words create this overwhelming, chaotic feeling, and I thought it matched the energy around electric vehicles. I kept the background super clean so the text and images would pop out more. And I placed two images right in the center. One shows a clean, polished EV, and the other shows a much dirtier industrial setting. I stacked them vertically so the contrast is obvious as you scroll. I also repeated good bad around the second image to really push the idea that EVs aren't just purely good or bad, they're in a pretty gray area. Uh, as you scroll down, you hit the history of EV section. I just wanted to preface the entire controversy by giving some history about EVs since they've been existing for like long before gas powered cars have existed, and it helps to understand a bit about their history before knowing more about the controversy. Uh, as you scroll down, I've added these three image buttons that each direct to the exigence, context, and the voices around this controversy. I made this navigation kind of like this, so the user can just like direct it according to whatever line they want to go by. So like if they want to see context first, they can do that as well. And so when I click on it, it directs me to the page of exigence. So for the first page, um, I broke it down into three main sections about equality, earth, and ethics, since they're the three main parts about the existence of this controversy. So for equality, I talked about how like the benefits are not equally shared. For earth, I've talked about how the environmental benefits are kind of overblown considering all the battery production issues and all that. And ethics, because of like the exploitation of labor in poorer countries where lithium is mined. So, and I've also like added like bold colors to like that match each point. As you scroll down, I've added more information about each point. So like issue one, like how EVs reduce emissions but not for everyone. Then issue two about how EVs aren't clean as they sound, and then how like issue three like as the EV demands increase, so there's exploitation. Each part of this box slideshow has a background that matches the information on it. So like the exploitation on this slide, the trees on this one, like mining on this one. And then the navigation is controlled by the buttons at the top. So like I can go back to home if I wanted to. I can go to the next part, which is context. For context, I've moved the box slideshow up to the start where like all the information can be displayed. So like um, the rise of EVs and technological advances, about like how and why EVs are really popular now, and then like media public perception and misinformation, and like EVs and social media, and how the governments have looked at EVs and how pushed legislation for EVs. This slideshow offers a lot of information, but to back that up, I've added a lot of illustrations and graphs. Like image one shows how like EVs have existed for like since the 1800s. Then like a graph that shows how battery costs have been declining, which has sparked a growth in EV sales. Then a timeline that shows like the EV adoption by governments across the world, and how like as in the next few decades, a lot of countries will be fully electrifying their transportation fleets, and then a graph showing public perception about EVs. I've kept the template simple and clean to continue with the home page and with the white background and all. The navigation is the same, where I can go back to the exigence page, or I can go forward to the voices page using the buttons at the top. As I go to the next page, I can see voices, where I've added the strips to show the main voices around EVs, like how environmental advocates are talking about how transportation is one of the biggest sources of CO2 emissions, and that's the reason why we should switch to EVs as they offer no tailpipe emissions. And then another one where we can see how like as lithium prices boom, exploitation and like ethics issues will increase because companies will look for cheaper ways to mine lithium. Uh, these are short blurbs of information and with pictures. And to learn more about like these voices, I've added another box slideshow, but like the same template I've followed in the previous pages. And yeah, and then I can go back to uh, the home page or go back to context. So yeah, overall, I learned a lot about EVs and the controversy around it, and putting it into a website format allowed me to make it more digestible for a lot of people compared to like a research paper. And yeah, by using a pretty simple font and like simple template, I was able to showcase my information to be the main star of my website. And yeah, thank you.